is Ike says, ooh, I need to try to see if there's a matching policy with this machine, with this server that he's trying to connect to. And I need to see if I can negotiate the key with that server. So in order to negotiate that key, Ike has to start sending packets to the server. So that's arrow 2. Ike is calling into the network protocol stack. This is all IP at this point, right? There's no TCP yet. Arrow 3 shows the communication over to the other side, to the peer, the IPsec peer in this case. And that communication bubbles up in arrow number 4 to the Ike entity on my peer, the Internet Key Exchange service, I should say, running on the peer. If this negotiation is successful, arrow number 5 shows that now we start doing the TCP negotiation. We see if we can bring up a TCP connection. If the Ike negotiation fails, we're never even going to try to connect TCP. So that's kind of the main point of these new socket APIs. They allow you to place that restriction that the socket never opens unless it's secure. And this is the client stipulating this. Obviously, it can be stipulated on either or both sides. Any questions about that part? And then I'll show the demo. Okay. Okay, so again, I wrote this with my buddy William Dixon. He is definitely the IPsec expert here. That is not me. So here's the tool, Ipsec Ping. What I want to do is verbose. I want to do IPv4 addressing. And I want to connect to the machine called JW Secure v9. Look at that. Okay, so just for the record, that's a live demo of IPsec on a laptop. That's not something you're going to see every day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll get you your beer later. So just want to show some of the output of this tool, because I just think that this tool has the most scary and yet sexy technical, like, gobbledygook output that I've ever seen. I'm extremely proud of it. Thank you. Thank you. I'll get you your beer later. Yep. Okay, so obviously we're trying to connect to the peer machine that I specified on the command line, JW Secure-v9. In case I didn't make that clear, that's a VM running right now on this machine. Okay. That's the address. That's the IPv4 address. We're connecting to the default port assumed by Ipsec Ping when a port is not specified on the command line. 135. I'm sure I don't have to tell this crowd is the RPC mapper port. Lots of fun stuff happens on 135. We assume that it's secure now, though. No, we don't assume that. Anyway, the fact that it's always open makes it a good default for this tool. We get a connection time here, for, the key negotiation time, including the full key negotiation and the TCP establishment, I believe, is what that metric is. So from a random port on the client, obviously, to 135 on the peer. I'm showing some IKE main mode, so Internet Key Exchange main mode, Internet Key Exchange quick mode. These are part of the IPsec standard and specify the negotiated crypto parameters of the connection. So we're using 3-DES encryption. We're using SHA-1 hashing. And the key agreement was created via Diffie-Hellman. I don't know what curve or which parameters 2 corresponds to, but anyway, if you're a crypto weenie, you know that there's some P and G and some Y and some key size that implies. For the simplicity of the demo, I use a pre-shared key. There are some significant drawbacks for using a pre-shared key in an IPsec deployment. The positive side of that, and the reason that lots of people do it, is that there aren't a lot of good alternatives. One alternative is to use a certificate on both sides, but that sort of implies that you have a PKI, a public key infrastructure, which means essentially that you're a big, rich company. The important thing to keep in mind about pre-shared key is that any administrator of a machine that's authenticated on that network, that has that pre-shared key configured on it, which it must if it's going to connect, any administrator of that machine can retrieve that pre-shared key. And so if you've got laptops, where it's just regular users who have to be admins, otherwise when they're on the road, they're screwed, right? They can get that pre-shared key and introduce new trusted machines into the network. So just be careful about how you configure IPsec. Yeah?
Microsoft added that in Active Directory, they've now got they made it very, very simple to do PKI. So that actually for small companies, if you have all the machines enrolled in the same Active Directory, they get automatically enrolled into the same PKI. It's actually pretty darn simple.
Thank you. Let me expand on that comment. I'm not sure if this is where you're driving, but in Vista and later, there's an extension to IPsec. Embrace and extend. That's Microsoft's approach to standards, right? We support the standard, and then we completely break it. Anyway, the way they broke it is actually kind of beneficial for small companies, as this gentleman has observed. They introduced something called auth-IP. What auth-IP lets you do is say, well, forget about this pre-shared key crap. That's broken. You can still do the certificate thing, although there's still some infrastructure required there. But hey, let's support Kerberos. Let's say that if you already have an Active Directory infrastructure, you already have machine accounts, obviously, in that case, you can just do IPsec negotiation over Kerberos, which is awesome. I mean, that's really cool. That's a great feature. Another possibility is you can do IPsec over TLS now, or SSL TLS is another feature of auth-IP. So that's a very powerful new IPsec feature in Vista and Server 2008. So thank you. And then at the end of spewing out all this stuff, the tool disconnects the socket. And actually, this is a lie. It says the main mode and quick mode security associations are deleted. I actually couldn't find the API to do that. And I kind of forgot that I didn't find the API to do that. Anyway, I now have it. So if for some reason that this is like a real problem that you want to be able to programmatically delete security associations, just let me know, and I'll tell you how to do that, because it's not in the code. It's not in the public version of the code, by the way. If you want to play with this, I'll send you the new version, because getting updated versions on MSDN is like a glacial process. So I'll just email you the latest code if you want to play with this. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, the question is about characterizing the amount of kernel mode code in the smart card data stack written by Microsoft. Let me say that there's a non-trivial amount of kernel mode code written by Microsoft that's involved in that smart card data path. Basically, the reader library, the reader driver that talks to this reader actually kind of plugs in as like a mini driver into a driver host that Microsoft wrote. Now, my assertion is that that's a pretty solid piece of code, because it's been around a while and it's been reviewed several times, and it's just kind of a dumb pipe, again, that just implements these smart card communication standards. But you're never going to hear me say that you won't find a bug in that. So please do try. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry. Dude, let me unplug and come down. Is that okay?